Today, we're joined by Ange of Ange Behind the Brand, and she's going to be giving us insights on branding and just that whole world of just personal branding, business branding. So tell us a bit about yourself, Ange.
Okay, so I'm actually Andrea Dormer, but everyone calls me Ange, known as Ange Behind the Brand. So my main focus is helping women build bold brands, fearless ones where they don't hold back. And which are rooted in faith, purpose, and impact, most importantly. And I go by the framework, or should I say method, power, presence, profit. So power is knowing who you are, first of all, because sometimes you can't move forward until you actually understand the person you are. And presence is how you show up. And profit is on the basis of your obedience.
That's powerful. And I think you definitely touched on key points that we're going to touch on today. A lot of people don't realize how powerful they are, all their purpose. And I think with building a personal brand, I think a lot of people struggle with sometimes appearing too boastful or sometimes appearing too much like they're bragging. How do you kind of navigate around that with the people that you work with?
I think for me, it's you can't look at anything that you do as bragging when you know you've been called to that space. I think that's super important. And sometimes it's not even just an outwards confidence, it's an internal confidence. So it's me knowing that before I was born, God knew me. He set me apart. Do you know what I mean? And I very much use scriptures and had done to rebuild my confidence, because there was a time that I lost it. So it's just knowing that you hold the power. And once you know that, that's how you're able to move forward.
So you've touched on rebuilding confidence, which I think a lot of people kind of, when you're finding, I always think your confidence is really tested when you're founding a business, because you could have been the most confident person. You didn't, so sure of yourself, so sure of the things that you're doing. But once you start building a business, that slowly can be nipped away at, because sometimes your confidence comes from how successful your business is going. And when it's not successful, you start taking that internally and thinking to yourself, is this about me? And it knocks your confidence. So when you talk about building confidence, what was the time when your confidence was kind of knocked, and how did you navigate around that?
So initially, I come from a finance background. So an opportunity was given to me in 2019 where I was an advisor and mainly dealing with like insurances, personal insurances. But it was a commission-only role. I done extremely well. Could only be God, because I've never done a sales role before. I was able to build a team, which is where I earned commission from my team. So some months I was like 4-figure months, so I had built that up relatively quick. A team with mainly women, there was like 20 of us and 18 were women, and a lot of them mothers. So when now it was time to pivot, and it was just how everything was happening. Because, sometimes with some people, and I'm talking about hierarchies, money can get to their heads and they start thinking that they are God. And in that moment, how I felt I was being treated, and in that time, I decided to leave, and I would have said I was very money driven in that time, like very extremely, like I would work sometimes 60 hours a week. I wouldn't leave. We had offices in Canary Wharf. I would get there at like sometimes 8:30, 9 a.m. and I wouldn't leave till 1 a.m. So that was life, making all of this money and doing all of these things. So when now it came to a time where I felt like I was being disrespected, I felt like my values were on the line, I decided to leave. And it was the best thing that I'd done, but also I didn't know at the time, the transition period, what was going to happen. So could have been a bit, hasty with it. I would always advise anyone now, like, listen, have that exit plan. You know, sometimes you can play the game for a bit and know exactly where it is or when you are going to leave.
Do you mean the exit plan from the corporate world into the business world or vice versa?
Yeah, from the corporate world into the business world. I feel like you need to have a plan. Obviously, I understand that anyone who is led by God, then sometimes it can be a little bit different, because when you hear God tell you it's time to leave, you kind of just get up and you go. But sometimes it might not even be at that timing in that moment. So let's not get it confused. And I didn't
God gives us a message, but I feel like we also have to apply a level of planning as well, a level of looking at resources, even though, yes, we have divine faith, but we have to also utilize the fact that we need to have a contingency plan as well and things put into place, and then God will do the rest.
100%. I agree with that. And I feel like at the time, I wasn't really deep in my faith. So yes, I initially heard from him, which I now know, but I felt that haste to move in that moment. And when I did, and my friend actually, because I always do like behind the scenes for people, like naturally, if you're around me, I'm suddenly got my phone out, I'm getting content for you. And she was like, oh gosh, you come like Ange behind the brand. And then I was like, ooh, that's a bit of me. And I know that I was very much the go-to in terms of everyone coming to me. Just either it could be down to an outfit, they want the confirmation. It could just be any advice, uplifting people, all of those types of things. And when I moved and decided, okay, I'm going to build from scratch now, I had a lot of savings. But what I'd done was I was living the same lifestyle like I had it coming in, not acting like a founder of a new business type of one.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Still living the same life, still buying the same bags.
Listen,
girl.
This is a whole other podcast, but we've all been there.
Exactly. So that alone, once I saw it going down, that alone ripped my confidence, I'll be honest, because that was a time where I somewhat attached money to my worth. That's what I'm online kind of known for as in terms of business, how I show up as well.
Yeah.
So that alone, and I had to lean on God during those times. However, I still pushed forward. So over these last, Ange Brand has been about 3 years now. So during those times, I've still always made a move. I've never just sat there and just thought, okay, poor me, but just making it happen regardless. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, you touched on, sometimes when you make the transition from corporate into the business world and then you are still living that same sort of lifestyle. And I think a lot of us who have made transitions, I made the transition from corporate into the business world. But my difference was I was so used to the money was coming in from a salary. Then when the business started doing well, the money was coming in regularly. So daily, the alerts were coming in, money was coming in, money was coming in. And that money management is really important when you're a founder, especially a starting founder, because you have to look at the bigger picture.
100%.
This money's coming in, but it's also seasonal. Next month it might not come in. Exactly. So with me, when it was coming in, Dorchester, holiday.
Of course.
Listen, me and her mates were 5 and 6, bro. Like I would just be, shopping, restaurants, eating out, the lifestyle that I was so used to having because this money was just flowing in every day. And I was not thinking ahead. I was not thinking, okay, there's going to be down seasons when there's nothing for us to kind of pay a mortgage or survive off. And I think it's really important to have money management in business and 100%. Branding. So in terms of navigating around the space and the new space that you are in, because you've obviously come from corporate where you were doing very well. Yeah. And then now you're navigating a business, which sometimes when we start our businesses, we're not really making money. We're just in the foundations. Yeah, we're just growing it.
100%.
So how have you navigated around that?
All right. So I had a plan. I'm very strategic in with anything that I do. And I knew that people need to see online to believe. So the first ever, I started off, so in terms of, I always believe in having the big vision, but breaking it down into steps. That's how I operate. And it's step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. And at step 1, it was just about, okay, you know what the big vision is, but you're just going to do brand shoots for people in business, for entrepreneurs. And what I did was, before I put out a package, I gathered my friends, the people around me, and we split the cost equally. So I didn't profit at all on that first ever shoot. But I knew that once everyone sees the content from that, and then I've put my package out, they will then buy into it. And that's how it kickstarted. And from then, I just done brand shoots back to back. People were coming to me. At the time, I had a community called The Rich Girl Way, and a lot of them bought into the vision and what I was doing, and they supported that. And from then I was just able to get content. But then what I realized as well was there was a gap. Some of these ladies were coming to do content, but they wasn't moving forward. So they've got all of these wonderful images and, you know, you look beautiful, you look amazing, but you didn't have the confidence to post them. You didn't even know exactly what it is that you're doing with these images, but you just wanted them. So I knew that it made, you know, especially the women feel good in that moment. You know, some would even say their confidence was built because they're scared of camera. And that's how I was able to identify gaps and then bring in my coaching through that.
So you identified a gap in the market and then you turned that into a business.
100%.
And like you said, it's so key for people to have a vision because people are booking your branding and your photography services and everything. Because I've seen the ads. Yeah. Trust me, I saw it. I think that's how I found you. Yeah. I was like, who is this girl? What is going on? Because it just kept popping up. But I love that. That's what excites me.
Yeah.
When I keep seeing something, that means that person is doing something that is needed, it just keeps popping up. And I love when I see the same person over and over again. But like you touched on, people see other people doing these pictures, but they don't have a purpose for them. So they'll take them, they'll spend their money, and then the pictures will just sit there. But we've all been a victim of it. And I think a lot of it does stem down to social media because everybody's taking pictures. You think, oh, I need pictures. But what are these pictures for? Are they pictures that you're going to use to catapult a business?
Yeah.
Are you going to sell something behind it? Or are you just taking pictures because, like you said, they feel good in the moment? But then later on, you're thinking, I could really do that £300 that I spent on that photo shoot.
Exactly.
So in terms of like, you noticed a gap in the market and then you started doing your branding side of things, how would you approach somebody who is just like, oh, okay, I just want to start, maybe I want to take pictures or I just want to do podcasting because I feel like it's going to boost my brand. How would you approach that person and what advice would you give them?
I would start with clarity. First of all, understanding the vision, the space that you are called for first. Doing your market research, I am very big on market research and going back to my brand shoots, you know, and times when I've done a shoot and they've only given me my edited photos, but not all the raw. So I've stood there for 2 hours and where's the rest of my photos? So that was an additional thing that I was able to add. And then I realized as well, the styling element as well. If there's some women, or should I say men as well, that are great at business, but in terms of how they present themselves, they're slightly weaker on that side of things. So it's kind of building everything for them and they just literally come along. So so I would say clarity first, do your market research. So once it is that you are clear, move forward, but with one offer first and be known for that one thing. And once you're known for that, then it's like knowing exactly who you are targeting. Who is it that you are speaking to? That is so important. And it's just saying the message over and over and over again in many different ways.
And that's really key because I think when you're maneuvering this space by yourself without help and stuff, without your services, sometimes because I found I do this, when I'm saying the same message over and over again, I just feel like, are people getting bored?
They're not.
Aren't they tired of me talking about this same thing? So do you advise that somebody just keeps going with that same, obviously changing the narrative,
you change it,
the
exactly.
outfit, the concept, but the message is the same?
The message is the same, but it could be said in many different ways. And I think that's where sometimes we can hold back because we think, okay, am I repeating this too much? But really, it is hitting someone. Just not everyone says. You know, and you have to know the space that you're called to. I'm so strong on that, and you can't serve everyone. You cannot serve everyone, and who you are called for will be there, and it's that simple.
Yeah, and that's really key. And I think branding is really hard because this is a question that someone asked me the other day, and I was like, I don't know. They were like, is it more important to build a personal brand or to build the brand for the business first? What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
I'm going to say personal brand is easier. And lead with your story as well. People connect. That's how you build trust. And your story doesn't need to be, I always say this, down and out, you know, sad. It doesn't have to be like that. But it doesn't, because some people feel like if I don't have a sad story, I can't really talk. There are things that everyone has overcome.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know that a lot of my story is why I'm able to now help others. And I've received so many DMs on the basis of, you know, some of the carousels that I've done of recent where I am being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I can be because I've healed from that.
Yeah.
They say, what was it that my friend says? Heal and then share.
I like that. I do.
Because it can't affect you. Once you've healed from it, there's no problem sharing it. But people sometimes hesitate because have they really healed from that? You know, I can say that money isn't attached to my worth now. I know who I am and whose I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm very confident in myself. And it's not just external confidence. You know, people would always say, oh, Andrew, you've always been confident on the basis of how I show up. But I'm talking about internal confidence. So I would definitely say personal brand. It's just easier. It will lead them to all your other businesses. I'm not saying that it can't work the other way. I just feel like, especially if you're going on social media, the market is really saturated at the moment. There needs to be ways that you stand out. And I just feel like storytelling is the easiest way to build trust, for people to trust you and then people to spend money with you.
And it is. You find the more you talk about things, the more people, like you said, kind of resonate with you, that vulnerability, that whole kind of opening yourself up to a different, because somebody, like you said, will always relate with your story. Somebody will always be like, oh gosh, I feel this, you know, I've been through this, you know, I'm struggling with this. But I think storytelling doesn't come naturally to everybody. Some people feel like it's not really their thing, you know, they struggle with storytelling. Is there other ways to grow your personal brand?
I would say speaking on topics, it kind of depends on what lane you're going in. I always see sometimes people online, that there was a time I was doing a podcast and that grew relatively quickly because it was controversial topics. But at the same time, if we're talking and we're saying in terms of staying within business, I think there are still ways that you can speak on things regardless. But in terms of, and I'll say this, there's a difference between growth, because some people just want growth with just numbers, and you actually having a community that spends their money with you. So following that is able to convert, because isn't that the whole point? If you've got a product, it's not the numbers in terms of what it looks like, but actually what it is. So sometimes there's nothing wrong with slow growth. You know, I'm an advocate for slow growth. You know, at the moment, a lot of my content style, or should I say what I'm speaking about, has changed slightly. So there's a lot of people leaving, but there's a lot of people coming in, which to me is alignment. Yeah. So you can speak on topics. You don't need to story tell, but there must be a part of your story that still leads to the reason why you started this business. I always feel like there's something there. There's something there. I always feel like there has to be something. It's like when you see, you know, some of the entrepreneurs and they've created this hair product. What was the reason why they created the hair product? And they normally lead with a story. Yeah. And you see them blow up. Yeah. So, but the story isn't anything to do with, you know, that they were homeless or anything like that. Because I think when people think of storytelling, they are constantly thinking of the bad.
The bad side of the story, or just something elaborate, like I got shot or something. But sometimes it's as simple as I am a mother, I do own businesses, and another mother might look at it and think, oh, you can be a mum and run a business.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be so complex, and it doesn't have to be so downtrodden.
Exactly.
It can also be positive.
Exactly.
But I think it's, like you said, it's hard navigating the space because, like you mentioned, it is quite saturated. And it can be something that can put people off because people think, oh, there's so many people doing it. I don't really know where I'm going to fit into this. And a lot of it does boil down to obviously trying to build a network on social media and feeling like, you just don't know where you're going to fit into that space. And I think that's the hard part that people struggle with navigating. So they give up.
Yeah, and I get it. And even now speaking on this the other day about consistency, there are going to be a lot of these social media guru people that are telling you need to post every day, you need to do this, listen, whatever consistency looks like for you. I post twice a week because I'm also running businesses. I have multiple clients. Until I have a full-blown production team, then it'll be different.
Yeah.
But for now, I know that my consistency looks like 2 days a week. And from next week, I'll up it to 3 because I can. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's about that. But so much of the time, people just want to grow fast. They see the numbers. And I think that's what gives people anxiety, and then it makes them give up, or they start second guessing themselves, looking at someone else that started 10 years ago. Do you know how much more easier it was on social media? I started 7 years ago.
10 years ago, we were taking things off. There was none of this lighting, blah, 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 blah. It's whatever. Do you know what? Now that you say that, there was a post that somebody did the other day on Jackie Aina on her original videos that she used to do back in the day. Yeah. And I love that girl. As a boss babe, she listen, she's the absolute
she's no nonsense.
100%. She's a businesswoman. Yeah. So they were showing her earlier videos. They were literally shot off an Android, and she was doing makeup, and it was easier then. But then it was the people that decided that they weren't going to care about what the other people thought, because a lot of us were stuck in, I can't do this because people will talk about it and things like that. But it's those people that were brave enough to do it. 100%. They were brave enough to step into this and just shoot videos off their phone. So it was definitely easier. I feel like it is a lot harder now to kind of navigate into spaces, create content, be visible online, create a personal brand. But it's also really important for visibility and opening the doors. A lot of it, you did touch a bit on confidence and how your confidence kind of changed. Have you ever had to deal with imposter syndrome or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I felt the times when I had left finance and then even just rebuilding again, imposter syndrome was just hitting me left, right and center. It really was, because I felt like I wasn't worthy to kind of be in that space. And it kind of links in and leads back to me attaching money to my worth. So now that the money ain't the same, I'm not doing the same lifestyle as before or anything, it's like, what is it that you've even got to show? But why is it that you've got to show anything? But that's, again, looking at others on social media. We don't realize how much we are or have been influenced by it.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a girl that, likes to look, when the algorithm has just got nice things, then that's why they say sometimes unfollow those people.
Listen, I go through a whole exercise where I unfollow everybody that doesn't align with my current goal at the time.
Ooh, I love
that.
that.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm just like, my tunnel vision starts to change. So if I'm at a stage where obviously I'm focusing on buying a house or starting another business, I will only follow people that align with the type of house that I want to buy, that align with the type of business that I'm trying to build. Because for me, it's like anything else. If I'm following people that are constantly shopping, listen, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I like nice things. I like shopping. I like eating out. But there's times when things need to be cut back because you're working on something bigger than just clothes and materialistic stuff. So I unfollow everybody that doesn't align with my current vision. Anybody can get it. Like you can be anyone. Either you're unfollowed or you're restricted. I've restricted your content because it's not me that you're going to be buying new shoes every week. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So, and then when I've got times where I'm like, okay, things are a bit more relaxed. The business is flourishing. I want to see what Dior's brought out. Let me follow this girl because she's always in there.
Yeah.
So I think the people that you can control your narrative on social media, you can control the things that you consume and how it affects you. Right now, where I'm trying to build certain types of businesses, I'm following people that align with that because I need to wake up every morning and see that and see that what I'm trying to grow is possible.
I love that.
So yeah,
that's great
social media is a lot. It's a lot. I can't lie. There is times when it definitely does have you second guessing yourself a lot.
And I think it naturally happens, but when you actually understand who it is that you're here to serve, I think a lot changes. I think it allows you to move forward. And again, when you have that internal confidence, you know, just by knowing who you are, the power that you carry, the power that God has given you, you know, to be able to navigate that space and own it.
And internal confidence is really important.
Many don't have it, you know. Many have it, I mean, in terms of like once they might hit success. But when you're down, can you still say you have it?
It's a good question.
People might never know because they might never go down, and we pray that. We don't wish that on anyone. But that's when you'll know, you know. Yeah. I was thinking about my journey. Someone came back, I think, God, you didn't strip me like that.
No, it's a good question though, because like you said, you need to be able to have it even when you are fighting a battle. You need to know, but like you said, it's about knowing who you are. And that is key in everything that you do, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. Like you literally fought for anything if you don't know who you are.
Yeah. And it's not saying that no one can't build a business, but I feel like a lot of the business people that they're probably more behind the scenes. So they're able to continue building. But I'm talking about people that actually want to build a brand, that want to come online. It's different.
That space is hard. It's hard because a lot of us has been forced into it.
Yeah.
A lot of my businesses have forced me to be online. This is probably the only one that I've voluntarily said to myself, I want to be, only because this is something that I'm really passionate about. And the passion outweighs me wanting to be behind. Normally I'm behind the scenes. I own businesses that people don't even know are mine, and I love that. I love that because I sit in there sometimes. They don't even know. They don't know that I'm the owner. You know, I just be sitting there minding my business. But I think it's important that, like you said, when you are growing a personal brand, you have to be visible. So we have talked a lot about personal branding because obviously you're the queen of personal branding. But in terms of like branding for businesses, how would you navigate that? Because sometimes what happens with people is they have a business page, but then they're posting their personal stuff on there, and they're trying to do personal brand and a business brand all on one page. Would you advise somebody to separate that? How would you ask someone to navigate through that?
I think it depends. It all depends. I would say if it's a product based, that does need a separate, page. But in terms of like services, you can, navigate it together, put it together. But there will come a time where you do need to separate it. But then you also need to understand, can you manage 2 pages? One might fall short, and now that they've got the collaboration where you can collaborate, that works well. That helps others. So I think if it's services, I think you can get away with it. I was saying to a client the other day, she started another page and she's got about 4 pages. But I said, you're here with me about consistency, but yet you've started another page. No, I want you to change your personal page and build that as your personal brand, and you are going to lead them to all of your other businesses that you've got. And she was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. It does. But we think straight away, oh my gosh, we've got this new idea. Let's do another page. But can you manage doing another page?
I feel triggered right now.
Okay.
I feel triggered right now because I have about 8 pages. Don't even ask what's going on with them. But
see them 8 pages.
You'll be like, what is going on here? But yeah, no, it is hard. It is hard because you think with every new thing that you're kind of building, there needs to be a page attached to it. There needs to be something attached to it. There needs to be something that's growing on that page. And you're right, it does become overwhelming. Something has to fall short.
Yeah.
So you have to definitely focus more on what you're probably passionate about.
I agree. I think it's that. I think it's about focusing more on your passions. I think you can never fall short when it's something you're passionate about. I never get tired. Sometimes I had a client and there was a deadline. I didn't go to sleep till 3 a.m. But if that was something else now, I'll just close my eyes and go to sleep. Do you know what I mean? But when it's now something that I love, I enjoy doing, it's just like, sometimes I don't even want to go to sleep. My son will be like, Mum, go to bed. You look tired.
Oh.
Because I'm so passionate about it. And yeah, it's just, don't create too many pages. And also what can be a little bit hard is when you're creating all of these different pages and then you're collaborating onto your page, and then we've just got loads of different brandings going on. So I always say, if you're doing multiple things, just try and keep a balance in terms of colours that connect with each other.
So streamline it.
Yeah, just so everything looks a bit neater. And I'm always saying just little things like, we've got our iPhones now. When it comes to creating content, you can do it on an iPhone.
Yeah.
You don't start where you are at. Use what is in your hands, because some people will think that they need the whole studio and you actually don't. You can create a space in your home, just a little space where it's got a backdrop. I do believe in like things being quite, somewhat neat and tidy, but that's because I'm a very visual person. So, but I'm not saying that others don't win on the basis of that, but I also know the prices that I charge as well.
Yeah.
There needs to be a level of standard.
Yeah. Everything has to align with your brand, obviously.
Yeah, and there's some people that how they're showing up doesn't match what it is that they are necessarily even offering and charging for that.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to have a consistent message through everything that you're posting, everything that you're doing, so people can kind of align that with your brand.
I agree. And it just all depends on what you're offering. If you're just online just talking, then it's completely different. But for someone like myself that does branding, I have to take care.
Yeah.
I have to take care. I can't come on and a video and it's just like all blurry and stuff. Like, I wouldn't do it.
That gets on my nerves. Can people stop doing that, please? Because at least clean your screen. Yeah, you don't have to have a production company, but clean your screen. Because I'm just like...
It's the lack of care, isn't it? I've got something to say
watching right now.
Yeah. But it brings your brand down. But I guess it's who you're targeting. I know they wouldn't get someone like myself, because I am a visual person.
Oh, no, your branding is...
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just... Every time I look on your page, I'm like, yeah, wow.
Okay, that's good.
Everything is just neat. The colours kind of go together. Yeah. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
it's, obviously, but it's your thing.
And
that's what you do.
That is not even at my standard.
But you know what? That leans on the thing that comes out a lot with people that are successful in business, that are doing their thing, is we are our own hardest critics, because you've just said to me your page is not where you feel it should be yet. I look at your page every single time and I'm like, this looks so good. And then I look at myself, I have to rearrange stuff.
Bless you.
Because I'm just like, but it forces me to kind of feel like I need to keep the level up. But your page looks amazing. So you look at it differently.
But more on the creative side. I don't feel like my creativity has really gone to the level that I know that I'm at.
Okay.
And that's on the basis of clients.
Yes.
So I haven't fully been stretched. And I definitely at some space want to go into the whole campaign side of things. I just love all of that. And this is sometimes what can make things easier for people. They feel like they need to post all the time. But how about do campaigns for, a particular service that you've got? And you run those every quarter. And you go hard on in that moment. Yeah. You have to think of something. I always look at the... There was a campaign, I think it was Kim Kardashian. She done one. Because I look at a lot of celebs. Yeah. And what it is that they're doing. And if they've got a product coming out, that's when they start driving the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
And the campaigns and
yeah,
the visuals.
And controversy online. Look at Summer Walker. I only feel that she only did that because her album was coming out, but it worked.
It done, because I was like, what's going on here?
It worked.
It worked. But exactly. And then she might go quiet for a bit.
You will not see her. She'll come up with another baby.
Do you understand?
You will not
and then
see
she's
her.
back again.
Yeah.
So there's ways around it. You have to find what works for you.
Mm.
I'm a really strong believer. Just because everyone's saying it's that way doesn't mean it is that way. There was someone who once started a trend, no? Everyone at some point. And I just think I see things differently. You know, I'll see social media people saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. I think, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even feel like I need to even say, come to me and I can help you make $1 million. You're going to come to me anyway.
You don't need to. I feel like your branding, your page clearly gives a message of, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Come to me and I will help you to do this.
And that's exactly
without you
what it's
shouting.
about. Don't have to shout it. But then others, they will shout. And that's their way of people coming because they know. But I don't necessarily want that. For me, I always know that money always follows impact, fact. You know, always. And that's whether it's a business, a product. You know, if you're saying what this product does, that's the impact there. And that's why everyone's going to buy it. And then that's where the money comes. So it's not about, it's always, everything has to be impact and the money will follow.
Oh, I love that. So the money doesn't follow, I'm coming to you because you told me, that the money is going to follow. But
trust me.
No, but all jokes aside, like if you had somebody that's kind of starting out in the beginning, trying to do personal branding in 2025, where it's like you said, it's oversaturated, it's a different type of market, everything is disheartening right now. What one advice would you give that person?
I think be clear. Get clear on, first of all, what it is that you want to do. What's your reason for showing up? Is it just because you want following, or is it that you want to build a business? So I truly believe in showing up first and then launching. So it's not just showing up, come buy from me, call to action, call to action, call to action. Why should they buy from you? How about be consistent in showing up and them getting to know you first? And then drop what you need to drop. And I feel like everyone wants to rush ahead. But nothing beats clarity when you first start. Just being clear.
So building your foundation first.
100%. And it doesn't mean even as you're building the foundation, whether that's behind the scenes, you can't show up. You can still, and you can still. But once you know your message, I think that is the part that is so important. And I think that's the part that is missed. So sometimes people will be online, they'll be speaking about multiple different things. So someone like yourself, Tabitha, who is in terms of businesses, it would be just talking on different elements of businesses, entrepreneurship, so on, how you created, you know, all of these multiple businesses. Even you saying, I'm a founder of multiple businesses that people don't even know that I'm a founder of. When you said that, I was like, ooh. I like that. Who knows? But you could talk on that. Why is it that you've chosen not to share that?
I need to book a consultation.
Yeah, those are the angles. Those are the angles that you can go at without you having to tell too much.
Yeah.
And I like that because it keeps you mysterious. I do. I like it. I love it.
Do you
I'm
love
thinking, what businesses?
Yeah, I know. You're just like, what is it? Google it. Yeah.
No, but I like that. And people would appreciate that from you, I think.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Some people want to be behind the scenes. How have you been able to navigate that being behind the scenes?
Because the money that I'm chasing with those other businesses is not online.
Okay.
That's what it is. But that's a whole different story. But no, it's been amazing having you, honestly. I've learned a lot because I'm also trying to navigate through personal business, branding, all that kind of stuff. So it's a new space for me. But I feel like you have given clarity. You've given just clear steps as well for anybody that's kind of out there trying to navigate through this whole charade of social media and trying to get their self visible and what things to talk about. But I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming down.
No worries. I loved being here. I was really looking forward to this.